Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of my Parkitect Sandbox park. In the last episode I made this wooden coaster, and yeah, I got some comments in the video that there were some actual head choppers during the ride. So I reprofiled the ride a little bit, and those head choppers should now mostly not be head choppers anymore. Still quite tight in some places, but yeah, for most of it it has been solved. Like there's some weird beams hanging over here, so this might still be a bit unsafe, but the guests will just have to tuck their heads in at this point. But yeah, the other head choppers have been fixed. Okay, I also did some maintenance on most of the rides, so not really sure how the maintenance works, but I just set the budget to 125%. I lowered the maintenance interval a bit, and that should make the rides more reliable. So a few of them just kept breaking down, and that's just not nice. Alright, something else which I did, I did it just now, is I installed the 2 DLC packs, so Booms and Bloons and A Taste of Adventure. I haven't played the scenarios yet, but I do see some really nice stuff in the scenery. I love these plants that were added to the game. Also, some really nice trees were added. So I'm definitely going to try and work a few of those in the park today. I also kind of like this one. Well, this one was already in the game, of course, but might be nice to work some color into this area to give it more of like an autumn feel. But yeah, just playing around right now. Anyway, what I want to add in this episode is a new attraction to this area. And I wanted to add some shops and stalls. This area could probably use another toilet. And yeah, we definitely want to sell some food and some drinks for the guests here. And I also wanted to include a new thrill ride. And one of the DLCs gave me this ride. I think this will be a perfect ride for this area, and I'll make it in a bit of a foresty theme, of course. Oh yeah, something else which I did is someone told me in the comments that you can actually color these. You can actually color the tiles with using a grid like this. And yeah, that actually makes it look much nicer. So yeah, thanks for the tip. That definitely makes these paths look much nicer, even though they will be decorated heavily on the side, so the pattern isn't really noticeable. But on the paths that aren't finished yet, this definitely looks much nicer. So if you have any other tips for me, just leave them in the comments. Okay, yeah, like I said, I want to add another attraction to this area. So I'll start to build something over here. Yeah, I'll need space for a nice building for shops and stalls and the ride that I just showed. So I'll just fiddle around a bit and see if I can fit them in a nice way. Alright, I'm quite happy with how this ride sits here in this area. So I put some of these high fences around it, just to prevent guests from being able to climb into it. Not that these fences are very secure with these gaps in it, but Also, I have no idea what this entertainer here is doing. Some kind of dance, probably, to keep the guests happy. Not sure. I'll help poor Enox out. Alright. That looks a lot better. Okay, that was weird. Anyway, yeah, just put some of these trees around it. Also, try to work in some of these maple trees for a bit of color. Some rocks, some plants around it, some grass, etc, etc. You know the drill. Anyway, yeah, that was one part of what I wanted to do today. And the second part was to actually have some shops and stalls in this area. Now, I did make it a little bit difficult for myself by putting this right here in the middle. But I'll probably just put some of these shops and stalls over here in this area. And for that, I'm also going to move the monorail a bit. Now, you may notice that I've made these monorail curves a bit larger. I just made the radius a bit larger so I could make the monorail more smooth. Because I noticed it went around some of these curves quite abruptly, and I think like this it would just be a nicer experience for the guests. Of course, it does mean that there's less supports in these curves, but I think it can support itself for a bit. Okay, like I said, I'm going to move the monorail here a little bit. And I'll try to look for a nice spot to put a building with some shops and stalls, and probably also some toilets. Alright, I hope I did this correctly, but I made a path from this building over here to this depot. Apparently it can transport stuff to this place. Not really sure how this works. Oh, I'll have to add shops and stalls, that can be... Alright. Oh, that seemed simple enough. So yeah, let's hope this works. Of course I'll need to prevent these guys from actually walking to this area. But yeah, I've made some paths here that are staff only, and that should help the staff get around the park in a nice way. Although the entertainers also seem to be using these paths. But yeah, that's just how it is. Oh, I can actually set no entry for entertainers. Nice. And I'll have to do the same on this side. Alright, I think I'm slowly getting the hang of this game, and I'm really liking it so far. Alright, I quite like how this building turned out. So inside I made a... do you remember? I think it's a hot drink stall. Yeah. And there's a donut stall. As you can see, already a lot of guests are heading to this shop. Well, obviously it's quite a distance away from the nearest shop. So yeah, that's it's not a big surprise. A lot of guests are heading for it. Anyway, yeah, I made this section here a little bit of a staff section. So as you can see, it's the depot here. I connected it to the building over here with an underground tunnel. I also made a little staff building here, so staff members who are over here can actually use that to take a rest somewhere over here. Okay, well, yeah, we still need some toilets over here. I saw a few guests that desperately need to go to the toilet. You can see a few here. So yeah, definitely need one of those. I think I can fit one over here in this area, or somewhere over here. I'll see where I can make a toilet building fit. Okay, something which I quite like in this game is that you can actually make it dark, just like in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and that allows you to play with light effects. And those light effects are really mostly visible on these thrill rides, like this new ride from one of the expansions. This is really epic light effects on it. Now, this also allows me to easily see where I have to place some more of these lamps, and yeah, to light up this area quite nicely. Now, here we have a staff only path, and I made a bit of a curve in it because guests who are walking here could actually see these staff buildings, and you could see that the decoration rating here was really bad. Now, speaking of decoration rating, some people asked me about the decoration rating on several of my rides. So for the Woody, it's actually the decoration rating is high. For the log flume, I believe it's even amazing. So yeah, there's these buildings here, but I guess they're not that visible from the log flume. Or well, at least it doesn't matter, or maybe all the extra scenery that I put here just offset it enough. But yeah, for most of the rides, actually the decoration rating is quite high, or even amazing. So I think that's a good thing. That's an aspect of the game which I really like. For example, in Roller Coaster Tycoon, yeah, the scenery pieces next to the ride would only increase the excitement rating. But yeah, in this game it has a much larger influence, and you really have to immerse the guests into the theming, which I think is a really nice thing. It's an aspect of the game which I quite enjoy. And I'm also just putting tons of scenery around the rides now. So not only to make them look nice, but also to increase their decoration rating. Alright, I'm just going to do a little bit more decorating here. I'm already quite liking how this area is coming together here, but I want to do a little bit more of this. And after placing some more stuff around here, I think the area will be mostly complete. And then in the next episode I can focus on a new area of the park. So for the next episode I kind of want to work on the area over here. And the theme I want to go for is like a haunted theme. That's I saw quite some scenery in that theme. I think it will be a fun transition. So it will also be kind of a foresty area, but a little bit more creepy. I think we can also make some nice rides for that. Alright, I'm going to work a little bit more in this area. I think what I'm going to be focusing on now is this monorail. I think it will be fun to have like a different ground type under the monorail, and we'll probably want some extra trees around it as well. Alright, I'm happy with today's progress. So yeah, just as a little recap. Well, first I smoothed out the wooden coaster. Actually did that off camera. I added this ride over here. This ride type's called Experience. One of the rides from the DLC. I really like the way this looks, and I also made it have some nice light effects when it's dark. I added this building over here, which sells some hot drinks and donuts. Lots of guests using it. Also made this little pavilion here for the guests to actually sit and enjoy their drinks. And I made this toilet building over here. Oh, lots of guests needed to go to the toilet over here, so it's probably a good thing I added it. It's getting really crowded over here. And I also added this path here along the perimeter of the park. Lots of employees can be seen using it. Now, I disabled the path for entertainers because they were walking all over this path instead of actually entertaining guests in the park. I may have to set zones for the other employees as well, but I kind of don't want to be bothered with it at the moment. I'll probably do it later. And another thing I did in this episode was just make this area around the monorail track a little bit nicer. So I added lots of trees, rocks, plants. Yeah, just a lot of greenery here. Okay, yeah, that was it for this episode. In the next episode, I'll work on this area over here, and this will be like a haunted forest. And that also might be a nice theme to use the inverting spinning coaster for. I'm quite excited to try out this ride type for myself. So ride that's added in the DLC, very modern ride type, and I'm really happy to see this in the game. And I can't wait to get started with one of these. Alright, that was enough building for this episode. I think it's time to add some patrons to the park. Now, we already have 3 scarecrows walking around in this area. I think we can have 1 more, and I'll have 2 entertainers to simply roam the park. Alright, this first entertainer here, let's select him, and we will call him Jazz Anden. Hey, thanks a lot, Jazz Anden, for supporting me, for being my patron. I really appreciate it. Let's move on to the next one. So this guy is a robot. And let's change his name, and his name will be Risiko. Yeah, Risiko has been a patron of mine for a very long time. Really enjoy his builds, and yeah, really happy he's supporting me on Patreon. Thanks a lot, Risiko. I should probably also change his last name, because right now it's Risiko Barrett. That doesn't really make sense. I'll make it like this, Risiko. Okay, and finally, we have Nelson Wilkerson here. Another robot, and his name will be Zach Combs. So yeah, thanks a lot for supporting me on Patreon, Zach Combs, and you'll now have your spot in the park. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed watching me build. For the rest of this episode, we'll take a ride on this new thrill ride that I placed in this area. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like. It would really help my channel grow. And yeah, I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.